Welcome, boils and ghouls, to the Cryptique Podcast. My name's Kenny, and I'm here with my good friend Godden, and together we're here to watch and review every horrific, often hilarious episode of the legendary HBO anthology series, Tales from the Crypt. Here we are, another week, another episode, Godden, week after week after week, here we are. Hey, by the way, in real time, so right now, in the world of Godden and I sitting here to record, we just surpassed Creeps of the Crypt as far as what episode we're on. So,
oh, did we?
Yeah, by the time you watch this, by the time this goes live, we'll have been ahead of them by about 3 weeks. But right now, we just passed them, yeah. So the most recent episode of ours to air was Those Who Live in Brass Hearses, and it premiered just a couple of days before Creeps of the Crypt's version of the Hearses aired. Wow. So right now we're like kind of tied, right? But we're basically ahead. So isn't that exciting?
That is exciting. Now we can see their interpretation after we record ours now, instead of watching theirs right after recording ours. You know?
I know, like, that's a bummer. I usually go right to them right away afterwards, just to kind of see what they thought about the episode after we did it. Now I'm gonna have to wait. Now we're becoming like, actively waiting for their episodes. It's kind of a weird.
It's so funny.
It's a weird feeling. We're ahead of them. So what are we doing? We are getting ready to talk about some Tales from the Crypt. But before we do, I just want to make the disclaimer announcement that we're not experts. We're just a couple of friends getting together to talk about a show that we both really enjoy. We invite you all out there to listen. And if you just want to listen, that's A-okay with me. But if you want to participate in the discussion, then you can use the comment section down below, or don't forget the SpeakPipe app that we have linked in the description below. You can actually leave us a voicemail. So there's those ways that you can get a hold of us, and you can share your opinion as well. It's not just about us. And don't forget, there's going to be spoilers. So if you're interested in this episode and you haven't watched it yet, go watch it on your own. You could watch it on I was going to say watch it on Spotify. Not Spotify. No, you can watch it on Shudder. I also heard rumors that this is coming to Tubi. Is that true? Is Tales from the Crypt going to Tubi?
Nothing that I've noticed, but I can do a quick search. I don't think so, but
I heard rumors. I heard some rumors. Let me see here. Tales from the
it is. It is on Tubi.
Coming to Tubi. Is it on Tubi? Like, the classic live-action Tales from the Crypt television series from the 90s is officially available to stream on Tubi for free. Yeah. All 7 seasons of the iconic anthology are on the platform. Oh, so there you go.
It comes out in 2 days.
Oh, it comes out in 2 days. In the time of recording this, which means by the time you're watching this, you probably have watched the entire season on Tubi. Why not? You probably just have to watch it with commercial breaks. So the episode we're talking about today is Season 5, Episode 7, House of Horror. It premiered October 27th, 1993. Now, here's interesting. Okay. On the website that I've been using to update this, it says that it came from the comic Tales from the Crypt. But on the episode, it says that it comes from the Haunt of Fear. So I'm pretty sure, I'm confident this came from the Haunt of Fear. I have more faith that the episode itself would be, would be more accurate than this website I've been using. So it comes to us from the Haunt of Fear. Now, the interesting thing about October 27th is this is the episode before Halloween, right? So this is basically the Halloween episode, which I think makes a lot of sense, this being kind of like a haunted house style episode. It really makes me think of Television Terror. And remember, we were lucky enough to air Television Terror on Halloween Day. Do you remember that last year?
I do remember that. That was really funny how it lined up like that.
It did. It lined up perfectly for us. So on this time through now, it's Tales from the Crypt's turn to air something on or around Halloween for a haunted house episode. So it comes full circle. Everything comes full circle if you pay attention. This episode also stars Will Wheaton. You may remember him from Stand By Me. He was that child actor. He was actually a child actor who acted a lot in the 80s, and then he kind of just quit acting. I don't know if he retired early or what happened to him, but he just kind of fell off and just never was interested again in acting. And he ended up he has a very prominent YouTube channel. If you're a board game lover, you recognize Tabletop, which is basically a channel where they play board games, and it's like a Twitch stream, but you just watch people play board games. Have you ever watched this before, Tabletop?
I'm actually not familiar with the channel, but I've heard of it.
Okay, yeah. So he does that now. He's kind of a nerd and just plays board games, which I absolutely adore that about him. I'm definitely very nerdy as well. So, do you play much board games? Tabletop games?
Yeah. I dabble. I don't play as consistently or as much, but yeah, I've had my fair share of experience with tabletop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, okay. So, like I said before, this was October 27th, right before Halloween. Godden, tell us, our local horror historian, what was going on around October 27th of 93?
Well, this episode airs. You're waiting for this episode to air at night, but actually, in 2 days after this episode airs in 93, Nightmare Before Christmas is in theaters. So it's a launch, it's premiere. So a lot of people would have been excited for that.
Oh, I thought that had already come out. Didn't we say that had come out before?
No, it was going to come out for October 29th. I was just reading off October as a list. The previous episodes.
Okay, so it's not actually out yet. So we're getting ready for it. Okay, I see.
Yeah. So it'll be out in a couple of days when this episode had aired back in the day. And surprisingly, Jurassic Park is still number one. I mean, they just keep holding up somehow.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I think that movie, if that movie was still in theaters, it'd probably still be number one.
Yeah, their kids want to keep watching the dinosaurs. That's true. And as I mentioned before, we had Demolition Man. But funny enough, we actually forgot to mention X-Files. That was something that came out the month prior while we were, at home watching Tales from the Crypt at 1993.
Wow.
So if you're a big X-Files fan, it came out in September.
I was a big X-Files fan. In fact, this season 5 has been really good so far, and I'm willing to go out there and say it might be because it had a real fire under its ass with competition. X-Files, I'm telling you, X-Files was a legit show back in the 90s. And when it had first come out, I had never seen anything like it. Nowadays, I kind of think of it like a horror sci-fi version of those CSI shows that you watch, where there's like a murder or something, and then you just kind of see a bunch of investigators kind of ask questions and kind of figure out who done it by the end. X-Files is basically that, except the premises are like supernatural or, horrific in some way. And I actually think that X-Files is actually scarier than Tales from the Crypt. There's been many nights where I've been like creeped out or had gotten the heebie-jeebies from watching a X-Files episode. And I don't really get that from Tales. Tales is, I think, a lot more fun than X-Files, but I think X-Files goes there as far as just being creepy and scary. There's some episodes there that still make my skin crawl. Oh boy, X-Files. I don't remember many X-Files episodes names. I just remember like some premises. Like there's this one guy who can kind of like stretch his body out and he goes into vents into like air conditioning vents and ductwork and that kind of stuff, and kind of hides. And I always thought that was kind of a creepy one. Did you watch X-Files much?
Unfortunately, no. I actually did not. I have never seen a single episode, but I just know there was that one controversial episode that was aired, during its time, and it actually got removed from cable because how, I guess, intense it was or graphic it was. Ooh. And I kind of want to watch that episode as my entry point to X-Files, because if I ever watch, I'd rather watch that one first and see why.
I'm with you on that one. I don't remember an episode that had been taken off the air.
Yeah,
but it did go there though for quite a few episodes. So I wouldn't doubt if one of the later seasons really, stepped over the line. Or maybe it didn't. Maybe it didn't step over the line, but by, 1990 standards, they were just like, oh, I've never kind of stuff. It was a lot of pearl clutching back then. Oh gosh, there was another episode where like they got stuck in a cave where these plants would release these pheromones that would cause you to hallucinate. So you would just lie there hallucinating while the plant was actually digesting you. I thought that was a pretty creepy one too. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah. Some of the stuff was supernatural, but some of the stuff was kind of more like it was still fiction, but it was more like science fiction. It wasn't really fantasy or supernatural. Some of the stuff was like actually legit, like was plausible. I loved X-Files. I really liked it. I haven't seen every episode though, but it would be nice to go through those ones too. Anyway, we're not here to talk about X-Files. Okay, I can't believe we forgot to mention that too, by the way. I remember thinking about that, like, oh, X-Files starts, and then we just never mentioned it. I'm glad that you brought it up. Okay, anyway, House of Horror. Let's talk about House of Horror. Let me read the description. Inked in human blood, bound in human flesh on the back of the DVD box set. And we know who has that Necronomicon now, don't we?
Yes, we do. That was a cool moment.
Yeah, that was a great flex. I had said that, and then when I looked up, he was holding it up. That was Joseph Hill had the actual Necronomicon. That's pretty cool. House of Horror. Can the geeks go Greek? College fraternity pledges face an initiation hazing in a spooky house.
Okay, very straightforward.
Yeah, it was pretty straightforward. It's all right. Yeah. I do like from geek to Greek though. That's cute. That's fun. All right, here's something I came up with. Whether or not it's more accurate, I don't know. Whether or not it's better, I don't know. But it's definitely longer. Arling is desperate to join Gamma Delta Omega, a prestigious fraternity known for its harsh hazing tactics, such as forcing its pledges to scrub the frat house in nothing but their underwear. On their final night of initiation, the pledges must earn their status by venturing into a haunted house of horror with a murderous ghost who does not like visitors.
I like it. I like how you mentioned a little moment in the episode too. But yeah, it's more straightforward. It's more detailed. But yeah, it's straightforward. Yeah. Not one of your best.
Not one of my best. Just when you think I'm improving and improving, what are you gonna do? All right. Well, Godden, mine might be a little bit too long. What did you come up with?
This isn't one of my best either, but mine is Hazing Gone Wild.
Hazing Gone Wild. Remember those Gone Wild? Yeah. Speaking of the 90s, remember those Gone Wild videos?
I thought it just fit. It just fit this theme.
Yeah. Girls Gone Wild. I remember those. Like those infomercials that have on like at 2 a.m. on MTV or something like that. Well, this one actually, this one's more like Boys Gone Wild, right? We have lots of boys in their skivvies on this one. Mm-hmm. Okay, general thoughts before we go into this general vibe of this episode. What do you think, Godden?
I enjoyed it. It's pretty simple. It does give me a contender for television terror, honestly, because that's the only thing that has that kind of a moment. But other than that, the whole frat thing, I'm not sure if it's a stereotype. I was never in a frat. I never really even saw that kind of stuff, only in movies and shows. But I never really understood the idea of frat houses and all that. It's always like encroaching on like very homoerotic moments. Even in this episode, they're just in their underwear cleaning around. Like, what's the point of that? But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I might be more biased towards television terror, but I enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, I did like it too, and it did remind me as well of television terror, just for the fact that we're going into a haunted house. I also like that this is the last episode before Halloween. I think it's very fitting. Kind of a creepy, spooky haunted house vibe is kind of a nice, it's almost like a cozy watch. If you're thinking Halloween night, throw this on and kind of just, have that on in the background. As far as hazing, I didn't join a frat either when I was in college. Friend of mine, though, 2 friends of mine that I met in college tried to join a fraternity, and they ended up backing out because of the hazing. They never told me what they were asked to do, but they just said like, oh my gosh, like when we were told what we had to do to get in, we just said to hell with this and backed out. So yeah, I don't know what they had them do specifically, but something that was, what would you be willing to do to get into a fraternity? I don't even know this is how out of the loop I am. I don't even know what the hell a fraternity offers you.
I think just status. I think it's just like a cool kids club. I think that's all it is at the end of the day. I don't think they really pose much for the community of college. Like it's not like they're fundraising. I mean, they could be fundraising for all I know, but it doesn't feel like that half the time. It just seems like it is just a cool kids club. But I know there was a time too, like in the 2010s, where there was a lot of reports of just college kids dying from hazing because it was just too extreme. Like they're just being so stupid and silly with the hazing that they killed some of the students by accident. So for a while, that was just like a bad taste, for the U.S. mainly, because I'm not sure if any other country has fraternities that haze. So I was kind of happy, like, hey, maybe we should probably double down on this because this is just dumb. They're making them, I don't know, like play. I don't know what are like common or typical hazing initiations realistically for.
I don't know either. But you get a bunch of knucklehead, freshly out of teenager status kids together, and they're gonna, and the parents are gone, and they're just kind of left to their own device. I can imagine a lot of just stupid stuff going on. I remember when I went to Davis, by the way, and we have a fraternity row there, and you just kind of walk by, and you can kind of see all the fraternity houses. And every year we have something called Picnic Day. So during Picnic Day, it's a huge event. Other colleges all get together and they come to Davis, and it's also a great time if you are an alum to go. And I remember going after I had graduated, and I just, in order to get from where I was staying to campus, I had to walk down Fraternity Row, and there were like grown men, like in their 40s and 50s, out just sitting on lawn chairs, drinking a bunch of beer, shouting, and just partying with a bunch of teenagers. And I remember thinking, oh my God, what a bunch of freaking losers. Like these men have like lives. They have a career. They have probably a wife and kids, and they're just sitting on a lawn drunk, hanging out with a bunch of, 20-year-olds and 21-year-olds. Like, come on. Is that how much your fraternity life means to you? But I guess maybe it does. For some people, maybe it does. I don't know. I was too busy in school, schooling. I was actually, learning and taking tests, and and you're schooling without even being in a school right now.
Yeah.
Imagine if you joined a frat.
No fraternities.
Imagine if you joined a fraternity on online school.
that I could be convinced to do is an online frat.
Oh
See
my
how
gosh.
that really goes down. It's a drinking contest on camera. That's all it is.
Oh my gosh. All right. Let's get on with this. I feel like I'm a little more chatty than normal. Let's get on track, shall we? Okay. So this opens up with the Crypt Keeper as a judge of all things. He's hitting the gavel down. He says, "Fright Court is now in session. Will the defendant please approach the bench?" And you're actually first person in this, so you approach the bench as first person in the camera. "You stand accused of watching too much Tales from the Crypt. Do you understand the charge?" And the camera shakes no. He says, "Neither do I. But I'll tell you this, if convicted, you'll receive a stiff sentence. You may even do a little horrid time. How do you bleed? All right then, let the trial begin." Our first piece of evidence is a tale about a couple of college boys who are about to undergo a little trial in terror of their own. In a writ of habeas corpus I call House of Horror. That brings us to the opening panel. Before we get to the opening panel, we have to address this. The Crypt Keeper, here we are again on just some random happenings. He just happens to be a judge for some reason. I mean, I guess it's cute to see him dressed up with the wig and everything, but again, nothing. Can you think of how this is related to the episode?
Yeah, I think because there's a hazing initiation, like just a trial and tribulations, that he just did another take on the word trial. So he's having a whole legal matter instead.
Okay. Yeah,
that's my only connection. Yeah.
I buy it. Thanks. All right, and the opening panel is, to be honest with you, I'm going to go there. This is probably one of my least favorite panels. It's misleading, and it's not very exciting. It's a woman who's standing there with Death behind her, with Death's holding a chainsaw getting ready to slice her. It leads you to assume that she's in danger when she's not the one in danger, so it's misleading in that way. And it's could use a little more blood, I suppose. I guess it's a little ominous, but I don't know. It just makes me think of Sorority Massacre or whatever that. Remember that movie? Sorority something.
I shouldn't watch that one. I don't know that one at all.
I don't know either. Maybe I'm making it up. Slumber Party Massacre is, I think, what I was thinking of.
Right.
Okay. Well, what do you think of the panel?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. It's misleading, but maybe it's misleading from a first time perspective, because after watching it, you kind of maybe that's the point, right? You're supposed to assume that they're a victim, and maybe they're not a victim when you watch the episode, kind of deal. Without trying to give away too much, but yeah, the whole chainsaw with the Grim Reaper, yeah, that part is a little misleading, because that's not really their villain for this episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or a weapon either. So.
Oh, what is a weapon though? The chainsaw is a weapon.
Did they use? Oh yeah, you're right. I guess they use it towards the end, but it was just more. Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's very simple, honestly. I do want them to just stick with a simple, hey, this scene kind of happened from the episode, kind of opening panels, than like these interpretive, misleading, or like this is just the theme of the episode kind of thing.
Yeah. What about those boys holding up that severed arm? That would have been a little more horrific.
That would have been cool.
Yeah, you would have had some blood and some grotesqueness in there. Yeah, this is a little bland, a little sterile. Although it does give, the being bland and kind of sterile and not so horrific does make me think, because this episode does revolve around a bunch of, late teenagers, early 20-something kids. It did give me kind of almost goosebump vibes, like almost kind of kiddie vibes. It's not, but it did kind of give me those vibes. So I guess. What are you gonna do? I'm trying to make it work in my brain is what I'm doing. Okay, scene 1. We are in a frat house, go figure, and the frat house is Gamma Delta Omega, and this house has a bunch of, basically the pledges are cleaning the house, scrubbing the house like with toothbrushes on their hands and knees, but they're doing so in their underwear, like in like whitey tighty underwears. So Arling, the main character, this is Will Wheaton, by the way. He says, "Excuse me, Honorable President Crandall, sir. This unworthy pledge wishes to clean a portion of the floor which is under your glorious shoes." And, he gets up. Or, no, I think, was he reading a porno magazine, by the way? Is that what he was reading?
Yes. It was such a close-up on of a girl just laying down, just spreading her full body out. Yeah. And
it was
full nudity.
I saw like her negligee she was wearing, but I couldn't make out like body parts. I tried to look and I just couldn't see it. Yes, put your mind in the gutter. Okay. I was trying to see what he was. I couldn't make sense of it though. I couldn't see it anyway.
I saw it. Yeah.
Okay.
She was full spread out. Yeah. It's very tasteful for a porno mag.
All right. Maybe it's
the porno mag.
Maybe it's Playboy instead of Hustler.
I actually never read any of those, but yeah, I'll take any of them.
Yeah, Playboy was always like a little more highbrow, a little more artsy, and then Hustler was just gross.
Oh, straight up. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, they're cleaning up in their whitey tighties, and that's where the main. I don't know. They call them all presidents, but this Wilton guy is in charge, though, right? He comes walking in, and he says, "Arling, weren't you supposed to clean up all these messes? What about this mess over here? You missed a spot." And it's a bunch of poop. He basically Wilton stepped in some crap, tracked it all into the house, and he's like, "How do you suppose it got there?" And he puts his feet up on the table, and you see all the poop stuck to his foot. And instead of Arling being like, "Well, clearly you tracked it in on your feet," he says, "It got there as a direct result of my own sins of worthlessness and incompetence, sir." While he's staring at the poop all over this guy's shoe. He sends him over to clean it up, but not before kissing the bottom of the soles of his shoes, basically. So Arling does it. He kisses the bottom. Arling's desperate. He's desperate to be in this fraternity. Yeah. But they're pretty much forced to do this, because if they don't go through this hazing and they back out, then they'll be added to the wall of shame and they'll be forever hazed. for like the rest of their college careers. Wilton points out that the last guy who quit was DeWitt, and DeWitt is now on the wall of shame, and he was hazed to the point of having a nervous breakdown. What do you think of this setup so far? I think it's kind of clever how they set this whole thing up. I like the hazing angle, the idea of these guys on their hands and knees cleaning the frat house in their whitey tighties. It's just so like humiliating. I could see it. I like this premise, basically, is what I'm saying. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it gets the job done. It makes me kind of not respect frats even more. I mean, it's just like what's the point to me at the end of the day? But I do like Wilton's character. He's just so enamored with just having power, just like knowing he has like these underlings and he can just say whatever he wants and they just have to abide by him. So it's kind of cool that he is just the main villain for this episode, and he has that one like snobby, like he just has that jock voice, he just sounds like a dick. So it's perfect, honestly. Like good casting by them.
Yeah,
but,
he plays it well.
Like why does he just go in there with poop smeared all over the floor? Like it's not a pleasant frat house to be in if you're just smearing poop all over the place. Like who wants to be there? Like I know you're trying to make a point, but like it's not really worth being there if that's what we're just gonna do and just make a mess of everything.
Do you think he did it on purpose?
Hazard. I mean, yeah, he for sure did it on purpose, but like everyone's just okay with it. All the frat boys are okay with it. Like it's just nothing. But like still, like why are we doing this? I feel like there's other ways to do it without being worsening the living conditions. But
it's
I'll never
nasty.
know.
So at this point, Arling and the other pledges, Waters and Henderson, all kind of circle up, and they're talking about, I'd really like to go break him, like to break him with a baseball bat. And the other guy says, yeah, a shovel or an axe or a chainsaw, and that chainsaw will come back later. So don't forget that he said that chainsaw. About this time, when they're all kind of plotting like this, the doorbell rings and Arling goes to answer it, and it's Mona, a beautiful sorority girl, and she showed up to basically ask other fraternities if they want to team up because they need like a partner or like a brothership or like a sistership. I don't really know how these sororities and fraternities get together, but apparently this sorority wants a fraternity to be kind of buddied up with, and they're asking basically, do you want to do that? Oh, by the way, Mona comes from the sorority Delta Omega Alpha, which is DOA. So another dead on arrival. Do you remember a while ago he had a radio station? It was KDOA.
Yes,
I remember
I love that.
Yeah, they're using this often here. So she wants to affiliate with this fraternity. And Wilton is like, I don't know. It seems like he's talking with his other people. He says, it seems like they're up to something. Like maybe they're trying to do something. So he says, no, we can't. Sorry. We're doing something else. That night they're planning on their final initiation for their pledges. So they can't. But if you want, you can come to our house, because they're going to like a third location for this initiation. So he says, if you want, you and the girls can go to this particular place. And Mona's like, no, I don't think so. But then she takes a look at Wilton. I think she's got a little crush on Wilton, or at least that's the way it's making it seem. So after kind of eyeing Wilson, not Wilson, what am I saying? Arling. She eyes Arling,
yeah.
And she's like, yeah. Maybe I can. So, what do you think of this so far?
Yeah, I mean, when she mentioned that she's from Delta Omega Alpha, I was like, oh, I feel like she has something to do with the twist because a lot of these episodes they'll sprinkle like something that has something to do with death or any of those puns usually, and they're like linked to being the bad guy. So I had an eye towards Mona and her role for this whole episode. And luckily I was right, towards the end of the episode. But how they made her like the bad guy was actually pretty cool, honestly. But yeah, the whole DOA was just such I'm just glad it wasn't red herring, I guess. When she mentioned that she's DOA. But yeah, I think Arling also said that's the reason why he's accepting this whole hazing and that he wants to get into the frat house is to eventually have girls like Mona, like, you know, and be able to date sorority girls like Mona. So
yeah, because Mona does say that she loves fraternity boys.
Yeah.
You know what? I suppose instead of another DOA, they could have been part of Delta Epsilon Delta. It could have just been funny. Called Dead.
Dead, yeah.
Okay, like so yeah, that's basically the setup. So we have these fraternity boys who are just hazing these pledges, and that night they're gonna do the final initiation, but they're also going to meet up with these new sorority girls at Delta Omega Alpha. So that's kind of the setup. So that night, the fraternity boys are driving the pledges to this new location, and they're all blindfolded. And this is where we get a little history on Wilton. They basically say Wilton has been the president for 6 years. And I think Arling is like, 6 years? He hasn't graduated yet? And they go, no, guys like him never graduate. So I just think this guy's like a big idiot. This is all he has going for him, is just being the president of this ridiculous fraternity where he gets to just showcase his male dominance over all these other pledges. And he's just basically a loser.
Yeah, basically.
When they get there, right, they park and they walk the rest of the way to this location. And this is where we get the history of what's going on here. So the pledges all recite basically the history of what's going on. And I got it here just in case you want to be caught up with what's going on here. So it's the Coffer House. It was owned by an old hermit with a black cloak and hood who had this hacking cough you could hear a mile away. They call him the Coffer, and his house the Coffer House. When the Alpha Sigma Sigma house burned down, the mayor swindled the Coffer out of his own house and gave it to the fraternity. The Coffer then cursed the house and killed himself. A year later, 9 members of Alpha Sigma Sigma who lived in that house were murdered with an axe by someone wearing a black hood with a hacking cough. The house was condemned. That was 1933. Ever since then, people say the Coffer's ghost is still in there, making sure nobody is in the house. They say you can still hear his coughing. Kind of a clever little ghost story. I did like that moment a lot when they were walking up, kind of just exposing just giving all that exposition. I did like this moment. What did you think of the Coffer's house?
I thought it was funny because because it was Wilton, right? Yeah, Wilton was asking the pledges to, give the whole history. And at one point when he was going off the 3 of them, he was like, I forgot who it was, but he's because I forgot the name, but he's like, "Hey, swallow your gum," right. And then you continue the story. I was like, "What the hell is this problem?" But yeah, I liked it. Yeah, I agree with you. Where there's this whole like supernatural premise about this house they're going to, and when he was talking about this, it just reminded me of Television Terror because there was like a whole serial killer incident where she was collecting their checks, so. It was kind of cool. Like, there is some backstory to this haunted house, and not just like, oh, we just heard that it was, this old man died there, and we don't really know what's going on. Like, they have a whole reason why that is a haunted place now, so it's cool.
I love the lore they built up in here. And then when they finally get there and you see the house, that's where everything clicked in for me. Oh, this is a haunted house episode. This is basically Television Terror all over again. Like, and I don't mind this. I don't mind several episodes all having the same type of vibe. Especially when I like the vibe. I don't mind these haunted house vibes. Remember, I think it was back in season 2, there were quite a bit of like love story and like love potion kind of stuff going on.
Was it season 2? Because I feel like it was every season there always had been like a love story or love potion. But if it was mainly season 2, I think I remember, yeah. I
think it was mostly season 2 because Dead Right was kind of a love story. The Switch was kind of a love story. Till Death, Three's a Crowd, The Thing from the Grave.
Okay.
Right. there was even The Sacrifice had like a little love triangle going on there, 4-sided triangle. Yeah, there was quite a bit from season 2. I remember thinking like, gosh, another love story one. Anyway, once we get to the Coffer House, we get the rules. Here, the goal is for the pledges to enter the house, make it to the 3rd story, flash their light out the window, then go into the attic and then flash their light out the attic. And that's how they know that they're there. That's it. So Henderson's first. Henderson goes into the house, and Mona offers a little bit of support. She says, we're counting on you. Us sisters love fraternity men. And that gives them the confidence to get in and start walking up the stairs. That's where we start to realize that, the fraternity is they're kind of up to no good. Like while he's in there, you see this guy sitting on the hood of the car with a giant remote control where he's like pushing buttons on it, and it's like causing sound effects to happen. Like there's a man coughing sound effect. There's a person screaming sound effect. So he's walking up the stairs. He trips a wire going up the stairs, and it causes this, this giant mannequin to kind of come down in front of him. And you also hear there's like a chainsaw sound effect going on, but he does make it up to the third story. He flashes his light 3 times, and then they send up Waters. He goes, all right, Waters, now you're next. But at that moment, that's when Arling sees that there's a man in there's a cloaked figure walking on the 3rd story holding an axe. And he tells him, hey, be careful, there's somebody in there, right? So we're starting to kind of get some, is this all as planned kind of a thing going on? Mm-hmm. So Waters goes in, there's that coughing sound effect again, and when he starts to walk up the stairs, he puts his hand on the hand railing. There's some red stuff, some blood. He freaks out, but then he tastes it and he goes, it's just strawberry jelly. He keeps walking up the stairs. He gets to the 3rd story, and that's when you hear him scream, and then a severed arm goes flying out the window and lands on the car. And you also hear that chainsaw sound effect again. They kind of play off the arm like it's not that big of a deal. They say, oh, somebody must know a med student or something like that. So you kind of get these, like, is this all planned? Is this supposed to be going on, or is this kind of, are we in it? We're not quite sure. And then from there we hear another scream, and it sounds remarkably like Waters, right? So, oh boy, maybe something is going on. That's when he basically says, all right, Arling, now you. Before we send in Arling, though, I want to check in with you. Any thoughts about what's going on so far?
Yeah, I guess, was this whole point just a test of their courage? Is that really it is? Just like, if a spooky story, can you go through with it and actually go to the haunted house? Is that like their only way of becoming a frat boy?
Yeah. I guess so. And that's kind of what made me think that this was kind of childish. Is like, this is something that you'd read like, in like a Goosebumps a book. I see. The school bullies are sending the kids into this quote unquote haunted house, and they have all kinds of they basically rigged it to be a little more scary than it needs to be. And so it was kind of giving me those vibes. But yeah, I guess that is their plan, is just to basically booby trap this house to make it seem scary and send these pledges in there to kind of snoop around. I don't know how long they've been doing this, but it definitely seems like something that's right up Wilton's alley. So
6 years.
He's been doing it for 6 years, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I actually enjoyed that every time you hear the chainsaw noise, Wilson gets more and more aggressive and upset. He's like, I told you to stop using that. We're not using the chainsaw noise. And I forgot that guy's name, but his stage sound guy. It was like, it's not me. I swear it's not me. Like, I'm not trying to do anything. So at that moment, you're like, is it haunted, or are they just like not know what's going on, and there's maybe a third party that's messing with them? So I like that, where it's kind of in the air, where you kind of have to decide or choose the narrative for a moment to believe what it is that's actually happening in the house. So I was actually in for that for a bit. It was fun.
I did like all the scenes inside the house, by the way. I think this is a good set. Mm-hmm. It's very old. It's dingy. There's lots of cobwebs. The lighting looks good. I like all the scenes inside the house. It does have that creepy vibe. So this is a great episode to have on during Halloween. I think this, if you put this on along with Television Terror, I think it's a great, maybe, double feature to have on during a Halloween night. Anyway, so Arling goes inside. He's kind of exploring around the house, and there's a hooded figure that's kind of roaming around the house behind him. Finally, the hooded figure confronts him, and Arling screams, and he falls down the stairs, and while he's screaming, all the frat boys come in and basically laugh at him, and they reveal, hey, this entire story about the coffer is made up. It's just something that all the pledges research for initiation, but we made it all up basically. And that's where Wilton calls for Henderson and Waters to come down, but they don't. And I like this part. This is where it starts to kind of switch on Wilton. Wilton's calling for the other boys to come down, but he won't go up himself. And that's where Arling says, hey, aren't you supposed to go up and get them yourself? Isn't that what you said? And Wilton goes, why? So I can be ambushed by a bunch of pledges? And that's where Mona gets involved and says, oh, I thought you were a man. So that was enough for Wilton to actually go up the stairs himself to try to get the other boys to come down. But that's where the hooded figure comes at Wilton and freaks Wilton out. And it turns out to be DeWitt. So in the beginning of the episode, we learned that they had caused DeWitt, right? Remember, they gave him a nervous breakdown because he didn't end up going into their fraternity. So they continued to haze him, and he had a nervous breakdown. Well, he came back now to basically haze them. So that was kind of the whole, right? He was the hooded figure the whole time. And DeWitt tells him, I told the other pledges to stay in the attic until they heard the password, happy birthday. So Wilton calls up, happy birthday, but nobody comes down. While Wilton's trying to get them down, by the way, that's where the other fraternity guys go up to DeWitt and basically say, hey, so was that you who had the arm? And he goes, arm? What arm? That ain't mine. So now we're starting to get to the point where, okay, something's going on, right? Maybe it was DeWitt, but then where did this arm come from? So we're kind of getting this whole runaround. I mean, at this point, I definitely knew something was going on upstairs in the attic. I don't know if I watched this episode before because I don't remember if the sorority girls were in on it or what was going on. What did you think at this point?
I thought it was funny. I guess I didn't know how it was going to end because at that point I thought DeWitt was the twist, but I was like, but there's something missing, you know, there's something that's not Tales from the Crypt. At this point, I agree with your statement. This is very Goosebumps esque. Like, yeah, if it ended like this with DeWitt having the last laugh, this is definitely a Goosebumps moment. I feel like more than Tales from the Crypt moment. So I was like, it has to end in a different way. Like, it can't just end like this. Like, there's only like maybe 10 minutes left or maybe 5 minutes left for the episode. Like, it has to end soon. So I was kind of hoping to understand how they would wrap it up. Because I was enjoying every moment so far, especially Wilton and how he treats the pledges, which is so funny. So for him to now, like, the roles just kind of inverse. Now everyone's kind of egging him on to face his fears after him getting on all the pledges saying, oh, you're not Gamma Delta material, so let's see what you're made of.
Yeah, because he's nervous about going up into the attic at this point.
Yeah.
I wonder I would like to know how Wilton got into this fraternity. Did he do this? I wonder if he explored this house because he seems really scared to be in there. He does not want to be in there.
Maybe. And then he did the whole blackmail against the dean, and then he was just able to fully become one of the frat boys. And he's specifically the pledge master. That's like his title. Like he's the one who's in charge of all the pledges, and he does all the initiation. So maybe he had a bad time, and then he eventually got that role, and the power, succumbed him.
So Wilton finally, after him being hazed, makes it up to the attic, and he finds a bucket of body parts. Then that's where he gets surrounded by all of the members of the sorority from before, Delta Omega Alpha sorority. So the dead on arrival sorority show up, and they say, we just love fraternity, boys. We're in a all ghouls sorority. And the main one tells the rest of them, remember, pledges, eat every bite or you end up on the wall of shame. And that's where that chainsaw finally comes in, and you hear what's his face, Wilton, screaming. Then his head goes rolling down the stairs, and that was basically the finale or the twist. I guess it was an okay twist. I mean, just like another to kind of add this to the pile of twists that has to do with ghouls at the end. Just didn't seem very, I guess, imaginative. I mean, it could have been ghouls, it could have been vampires, they could have been werewolves. It doesn't matter. It's kind of all the same shtick. They're all some sort of, monster. I think I would have liked it if the coffer was real, or something about the coffer, or maybe it was on something that has to do more with the house itself. Maybe the house was on Indian burial ground. I don't know. We've heard that before too, but just the idea of the sorority girls being ghouls, I think, is more punny because instead of girls, it's ghouls sorority. So it wasn't as satisfying for me, but I don't know. What do you think?
I agree. Like just to add on what you'd mentioned, it'd be cool if she was somehow like a direct descendant of the coffer or something like that, where it still tied it down to the lore and the house in some way. Because it does seem like a cop out. It's like at the end, it's just the sororities being monsters. So, yeah, it was okay.
I like that. A descendant of the coffer house, right? I like that. I like that better. Okay, so we go back to the Crypt Keeper, and he is still a judge. He says, "Poor Les, I know they say that college costs an arm and a leg, but this is ridiculous. Still, I think he'd have been happy to know he was part of one last food fright. Ah, I see we've reached a verdict. Members of the jury, do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty?" And the jurors are all just, they're all basically hanged.
Yeah.
He says, "What do you know? A hung jury." And that's one of the punchlines I definitely saw coming from a mile away. But I like this.
I like that one. Yeah, that's fun.
Okay, so general thoughts, or more specifically about this episode. I think the biggest issue I had was the twist at the end. I mean, it worked. It was like a nice little bow tie on the very end because you kind of met the sorority girl up front, and then she had to do with the final twist. You also heard the backstory of DeWitt before he was introduced, so you kind of got there was no loose ends here. It all kind of worked out nicely. It's just I don't like the way it all worked out nicely. I like yours better, where if she was maybe a descendant of the coffer, and maybe the coffer story was never made up, right? Maybe the frat boys think it's made up because maybe the college, deleted or got rid of all the newspapers that were referring to it because it was kind of like a stain on their history. And then the actual history became kind of like an urban legend. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too deeply about it. Maybe they could have just did away with it altogether and just had it be real and then had her be a descendant. I think I would have liked that better because it would have married the two subplots together better, because as of right now it seems like, okay, there's a twist with DeWitt and there's a twist with the sorority girls and they don't really go together. I would have liked them to be closer related.
I agree. Or like maybe the whole vampire thing and then DeWitt's a vampire, so that's why he's in on it. But yeah, it just seems like he had his own thing going on. So
yeah. Or maybe Mona was DeWitt's girlfriend or sister. And I don't know,
they're descendants. Yeah,
I would have liked some way for those two to be together because it feels like two different twists. It feels like one twist was made for Goosebumps and one twist was made for Tales from the Crypt. So as far as this episode relating to other episodes, we already mentioned television terror. The New Arrival is also a pretty good haunted house story. I like that one a lot too. So maybe this would be a good triple feature. Television terror, right to New Arrival, right to this one, I think would be a good 3 episodes to put on back to back and have on during Halloween. So maybe that might be a fun Halloween triple feature that we could do.
Yeah, a little binge. Yeah,
I like that.
We could do that.
Television terror, The New Arrival, and then House of Horror. Also, the fact that it's centered around a fraternity, a bunch of college kids kind of being going through their hazing rituals. It made me think of Porky's. Porky's kind of has that vibe too, where it's a bunch of college kids kind of just being not necessarily hazing each other for a fraternity purposes, but just a bunch of horny teenagers trying to get laid and just doing the best they can. And it's they just, shenanigans ensue kind of stuff. So I made me think of that too. Any other movies or TV shows you can think would be a good thing to watch with this?
I guess there was Happy Death Day, which is pretty much like a slasher Groundhog Day, and there was a moment where they were hazing, but it was like a slight moment. It wasn't like an actual core part of the movie. So,
but it's
not really.
It's horror and it's college, so they're similar.
Yeah,
it'd be a fun one to put on too. I liked Happy Death Day. The first one. The second one was like, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah, they could just end with the first one, but whatever.
Well, as far as a score, this is a good episode. This is a very good episode. I liked it a lot. I don't think it's better than Television Terror or The New Arrival. I'd rather watch those two than this one, even though I still think this is good. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go a 3.75. I'm gonna go high in the threes. 3.75 whitey tighties.
Because of the first scene, just the whitey tighties.
That was very. I was surprised to see that much skin that early in the episode. And sometimes we need to give some love to the ladies. Lots of breastises in this show. You know what I mean? Lots of seductive ladies in this show, which a lot of men can appreciate. But sometimes we got to throw some love to the ladies too. Maybe this might be some of the lady listeners out there. This might be some of their favorite episodes, just for some of the eye candy in the beginning. You never know.
It's true. Yeah, I think we have a very similar score. Because I don't want to give it a 4, so I was leaning towards the 3.5. And for my item, it'd be 3.5. I'll say kitties, because Wilton actually said that each scene. He kept saying kitties. Are you ready, kitties? So I was like, oh, is that like a very Crypt Keeper? It's a very Crypt Keeper moment. Yeah. I
did notice that. He said that, by the way.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have some correspondence. Woo! Some correspondence. So the last episode to air at the time of recording this episode was People Who Live in Brass Hearses. That was the ice cream episode with Brad Dourif and Bill Paxton. So Ash Likes Horror comes through and says, much like the episode Split Personality with Joe Pesci, the actors do most of the heavy lifting for this episode. I agree. He says, Brad Dourif is a legend. Love him as Chucky, and is also great in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. He gives it a 4.25 ice scream trucks. I like that.
Yeah.
TheJimiRyan comes through. He says, Paxton and Dourif are so believable as brothers. They seem like real people. Although that butter obsession is weird. That's right. I remember he was just eating sticks of butter. All the acting is top notch. The conjoined twins aspect was genuinely surprising. It was silly and it came out of nowhere. The practical effects are great. The violence was visceral but comedic. So well done. Yeah, that had good practical effects in there. Do you remember he blew his leg off? That was like a crazy effect. That looked really good. While hilarious, I felt bad for Mr. Bird in the end. Not only did he lose his brother, he has to lug around his dead body for the rest of his life. That can't be good for business. He gives it 4 sticks of butter. And Joseph Hill came through. And says, I love this episode. It's definitely one of my favorites. The chemistry between Bill Paxton and Brad Dourif really stands out. Yeah, that's something that really a lot of people seem to be agreeing with. Those two were great together. Watching them fumble through every plan is hilarious and entertaining. Maybe that's where the football reference comes in, since they're constantly fumbling the plan. I like that, because we were having a hard time relating it to the football. I give it 5 freezers full of cash out of 5. Maybe even my honorary 6 for the season. So Joseph definitely liked this episode. All right. And the last correspondence I want to read to you is a very special one, Godden. Just a couple of days ago, we got a very special, extraordinary correspondence. Hey guys, this is Christian White from Haddonfield Radio. Thank you so much for the shout out. It makes me so happy that you enjoy the episodes we create. Your show is great too, and we would be honored to have you on the show sometime during a live stream this year. Thanks again for the support. This is very kind of you. All the best to you guys. Godden!
Wow. Exciting.
Can you believe it?
I know, you've been shouting them out so much.
They've been one of my favorite podcasts for such a long time. I like just having them be in our comment section is just so upside down for me. I'm in like the upside down world. It's so surreal seeing them on the other side of this whole podcasting thing. I've been watching them since before we ever even started this whole thing. Like I've really been into watching because I love Halloween's like my favorite horror franchise. So I just consume all the media I can get from them. And a lot of podcasts will cover it. Will cover the franchise, but then I don't really follow them afterwards because I don't really they don't really like as hosts, they don't really do much for me. I just liked their content. I didn't like them as much. Haddonfield Radio, I like their content. I like them. They're a couple of great guys, and I love watching their banter back and forth. I love just the depth they go in on all the episodes. They're very thorough. When I say we're not professionals, I look to them as if they're the professionals. They do a lot of research and they bring a lot of information to the table. They also say they're not professionals, but we know the difference. Come on. They know what they're doing. Anyway, right. So yeah, it means a lot. Christian, thank you so much for reaching out and just making yourself known in our comments meant a lot to me. Even if we never end up on your podcast, just the fact that you ended up in the comments of this podcast means so much to me. Thank you very, very, very much. That was very sweet. Okay. That was the last comment I want to read. Godden, we got a voicemail. How about that?
Finally, someone use our speak pipe.
Yeah.
I'm excited, actually.
So, again, the last episode to air was people who live in brass hearses. So Iron Sabbath comes through and left us a voicemail. Let's listen to what Iron Sabbath had to say about people who live in brass hearses.
Hello, Kenny and Godden. Do you have any butternut, butter brittle, buttermilk? Because I see you just finished reviewing one of my favorite episodes of season 5 and probably one of my top 10 of the entire series, People Who Live in Brass Hearses. And what a fantastic, fun episode this is. You got the legendary Bill Paxton, the equally as legendary horror icon Brad Dourif, the voice of Chucky, the DeLuca brothers, probably some of the most legendary Tales from the Crypt characters that we've ever seen. And I can still remember this is one of my earliest memories of the show when Miss Grifunder's crawling across the floor, bleeding out everywhere, and Billy DeLuca, Bill Paxton's character, just brings down the hook right into her head and drags her away.
Yeah, I remember that moment, by the way, Iron, and I wish we would have spent more time talking about it, because I think that was the most horrific part of the episode, just the creepiest, scariest part, where she was, remember, because that's right after the Brad Dourif character had just walked out covered in blood, and then she comes, right, crawling out. So that was, and I did like that part. So yeah, Iron, I'm glad that you mentioned that. Let's keep listening to Iron Sabbath's commentary here.
Such a great scene, so bloody, and this episode is wild. It's crazy. It's everything you want, and that twist ending. This show loves its conjoined twins.
Sure does.
It's a 5 out of 5. I'm going to give it 5 out of 5 butterscotch ice creams.
5 out of 5 butterscotch ice creams. Hey, thanks, Iron, for using that speak pipe. Very, very cool. I'm glad that we're starting to use that. I want to encourage everybody out there, if you haven't yet, check out the SpeakPipe app. The link to it is in our description below. Just click on that link. It'll take you right to the app. Just click the record button and just say what you want to say. You can even listen back to what you had said. If you don't like what you said, you can delete it and start again. So I invite you all to try that. Just sometimes, I know I'm very guilty of this too. Sometimes I just start rambling when I start talking. So just kind of have an idea of what you want to say, and then just try to be concise when you say it. If you don't like how you said what you said, you can just delete it and start all over. So I invite you all to try that. Okay. If you're still listening at this point, I want you to comment down below a Greek fraternity or sorority that would be a fun play on letters. Like, for instance, right, Delta Omega Alpha, right? Dead on arrival, DOA. We had said Delta Epsilon Delta for dead, right? What 3 Greek letter combinations do you think would be a fun fraternity or sorority house name? That's a stupid one, but try it. Let's just try it. Let's just see what we get out of it.
Yeah.
All right. Shout outs. We want to shine the light back out to the horror community. We already did so with Haddonfield Radio. Again, Christian White, thanks so much for reaching out to us. You've been a huge inspiration. There's others out there as well. There's a Confused Breakfast podcast. There's the Kill Streak. There's Creeps of the Crypt, who we have a history with at this point now too. They've been on ours podcast and we've been on theirs. There's Return, Revenge, Resurrection. There's Midnight Rental. There's plenty of others. Even some of our listeners have podcasts. We're talking TheJimiRyan and Iron Sabbath both have their podcasts and channels down below. It's all linked in the description below. Just explore down there, click on links, and see what you like. And don't forget, there's us. There's the Cryptique podcast. My name is Kenny, and more of me could be found on my main channel, Too Bad About Kenny, TOO Bad About Kenny, where I review books and movies. I'm currently making my way through the Evil Dead franchise for movie reviews, but I also have a podcast on that channel where I'm going through all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. You can also find me at Too Bad About Kenny with the number 2. That's where it's on Twitch, and I just basically play video games. So come through and hang out. Godden, how about you?
You can find me at Twitch at UAPPO6. If you find me, I will be playing games, and I'm always down to talk to people about either Tales from the Crypt or just about myself. And you can follow us on Cryptikers at Twitter, and we can have more engagement if you need more up-to-date news, or if you want to use our SpeakPipe. You want more SpeakPipe?
Yeah, more SpeakPipe, please. Well, we hope you had a great time, kiddies. And remember, wherever you may go, whatever you may seek, we'll all get together same time next week to talk about well-cooked hams. Now, by the time this episode airs, okay, we'll be getting ready to sit down to record episode 8, Creep Course. So if you want to leave a voicemail for your thoughts on Creep Course. Otherwise, just hang out and watch Well-Cooked Hams for next week. Did that make sense?
Yes. I mean, I understood it, so I hope they did too. Okay. I can't speak for them.
All right. If you didn't understand what the heck I just said, leave a comment. Kenny, what the heck did you mean? Anyway, take care of yourself, kiddies. And until next time, we here at the Cryptique Podcast wish you all sweet nightmares.